Longer than 10 songs. Rich still has pretty great beats, just like the last album, but he is not someone that can enhance those beats or carry the majority of an album. My whole experience with The World Is Yours Too was basically waiting in pain for the features to start rapping so that I could get a break from Rich. He's just too basic to take for such a long period of time. With the exception of some really enjoyable songs like Two Cups and Rockets, Rich really dropped one of the most forgettable projects of 2019 with this one.
Upgrade to watch videos ad-free, offline, and in the background. Start a free trial of YouTube Premium today.
Off-white, alright. Off-white, white rice, Fortnite. Red light, and my
2019 really wasn't the best year for Lil Pump, and Harvard Dropout was one of the main reasons why. This marked the point for me where Pump's music went from loud and ignorant but enjoyable to mostly annoying, obnoxious, and not very fun. Don't get me wrong, he can still pull it back when he drops his next project, Lil Pump 2, but Harvard Dropout feels like such a big missed opportunity. It does still have some high energy bops like Racks on Racks, Dropout, and Too Much Ice, but then you have so many songs like Stripper Name. My god. I will still never forgive YG for dropping this bar on there. Vroom, vroom, vroom. No, 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 Lil Pump. Off-White? More like off my iPhone because I'm deleting that song off my iPhone right now. I'll stop now. I just wanted to feel the same hyped up feeling that I felt from Pump's verses on songs like I Shine, Welcome to the Party, or Kept Back. Not saying I wanted the exact same thing, I just wanted the same energy. But we just got a watered down, pretty bored sounding version of Pump over uninspired production. And it's weird because I thought I maybe liked commercialized Lil Pump when I first heard Drug Addicts and loved it, but I never come back to that song now. It made me realize that this album really lacks almost everything that makes Pump's music enjoyable to me, and for that reason, it's an album that I'd rather avoid than replay. I've got a little story for you guys. This year I've started drinking coffee. I'd never drank it before, but it really helps to give me a boost when I want to record some videos or edit them, so I drink it every day now. And sometimes I drink it late at night because a lot of the time I'm editing late at night, and the only issue with that is that caffeine massively interferes with my sleep. Until this album came along, thank you Nav for being the cure to my jittery coffee-fueled nights. Never has an album helped me so much with getting the sleep that I constantly struggled to get before I heard it, so for that Nav, I thank you. I do not know why Nav has such a penchant for minimal, drowsy production with incredibly subtle melodies, but it is something that makes this album so lifeless and a struggle to get through. Like, he's used low-key production a fair bit before, but he takes it to a whole new, sleep-inducing level on Bad Habits. Almost every track showcases this, but I'm Ready and Tension are ones you should check out to see exactly how empty these beats sound.
I'm ready. I put 4G's on Pirelli. When I'm out, you try to threat me. Need patience, I spaghetti. I'm chilling at the top. You still trying to climb up. I feel tension every time I count up.
And of course, when you have someone whose voice sounds like a dull, synthesized robot droning over these beats, it makes for one of the most horrendously dry albums of 2019. It's really no surprise that the biggest highlights on this album are the songs that contain features. At least on Nav's last album, Reckless, I felt that he was trying a bit more with his vocals. He's not a good singer, and there's some laughably bad singing on there, but I thought it was actually somewhat fun to listen to. But like I said, with this album, he sounds like he's completely reverted back to not trying. Going back to his lifeless style of sing-rapping, mostly giving up on harmonizing or layering his vocals to make them sound more substantial. And not even me, a closet Nav stan, can defend an album like that.
Drop it down, low and pop it. IGGYVIP, I'm very important. Girl, you need to chill, stop looking at my heels, you know.
And so, my Iggy Azalea vendetta continues. I don't like you, Iggy. I don't like you. I mean, I'm sure she's a lovely person, but musically, nah, bro. She has appeared in multiple worst songs lists of mine. She was, in my opinion, the worst rapper to ever appear on the XXL freshman class. And now she holds the accolade of my worst rap album of 2019. Is there anything Iggy Azalea can't do besides make good music? 36 minutes of pure agony. From the very first track on this album, we get an onslaught of pure cappery, and that's just from the hook. Your rapping accent isn't even real Iggy. Speaking of the bars, this whole album is so devoid of content. I wasn't expecting anything super deep, but compare this to Iggy's earlier work. At least some tracks earlier in her career tried to touch on personal topics and had some sort of emotion behind them. There was even a slightly bigger variety of sounds, whereas every single track on this is the most generic club rap with bragging lyrics that you could imagine. And don't even get me started on specific lines. Those specific, basic, I just started rapping type of similes and metaphors. This album is essentially 12 tracks made from the same template, and it's not a template I enjoy even slightly. There is not one single track that I could fully recommend from this album. Maybe, just maybe listen to the intros to some of these tracks, because songs like Spend It and Clap Back, they do have somewhat hard instrumentals. And parts of Started sound good instrumentally, but even on those songs, you still have terrible rapping. I tell him give me space like the man on the moon. Lord Jesus Christ in heaven above, man, save me. So, I'm gonna challenge you guys, just like I did last year on my worst albums list. Listen to this album that I could fully recommend from this album. Maybe, just maybe listen to the intros to some of these tracks, because songs like Spend It and Clap Back, they do have somewhat hard instrumentals. And parts of Started sound good instrumentally, but even on those songs, you still have terrible rapping. I tell him give me space like the man on the moon. Lord Jesus Christ in heaven above, man, save me. So, I'm gonna challenge you guys, just like I did last year on my worst albums list. Listen to this album. Really try your best to sit through all 12 tracks and send me a DM on Instagram telling me how far you managed to make it before tapping out, curling up into a ball, and taking a few minutes to cry and recover from what you just heard. Without a doubt in my mind, In My Defense by Iggy Azalea was the worst rap album to drop in 2019. Well guys, that's going to be it for the video today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this one, and if you did, I would really appreciate you leaving a like. As always, big shout out again to Raycon for sponsoring this video. I really appreciate it, because at this point in YouTube, sponsors are kind of necessary, because ad revenue can be so variable with copyright claims, demonetization, and all this other stuff. So it's really helpful to get sponsors that I can actually get behind and that I actually feel really happy endorsing. Let me know down in the comments below what you think the 10 worst albums of 2019 were, and I will be coming with the 10 best albums list very soon. I know these videos are late, but the 10 best albums...
We've given you a 40-cent raise, Peyton. Congratulations. I can still picture that exact moment when my boss said those exact words to me for the last time. It's easy to picture. It was right over there. Right? I just graduated from the University of Memphis, and I was stuck in this dead-end retail job that I took as a temporary gig, you know.
End of year list time once again, baby. It's time to talk about the best and worst songs and albums of 2019. Kicking it off, as always, with my 10 favourite hit rap songs of the year. Now, of course, keep in mind that for songs to be eligible for this list, they have to have charted in the Hot 100 at some point this year. The reason that I do that, because I've seen a lot of people asking about it, is just to keep it varied from my albums of the year list. Because otherwise, this list would most likely just be made up of my favourite songs from each of my top 10 albums of the year. And regardless, there were a lot of songs that I thoroughly enjoyed on the charts this year. So with that being said, this is CDTV Productions. I'm trying to hit 20k on Instagram before the end of the year. It's looking very unlikely. We only have like a few days left from when I'm recording this, but I'm trying to hit 20k on Instagram before the end of the year comes up, so any help would be appreciated. And let's talk about the 10 best hit rap songs of 2019. For our first honourable mention, we have Wish from Denzel Curry's latest album Zoo, and this is easily the song that I've played the most from that project. It has more of an old school feel to it, like a couple of the other songs on the album. I remember Denzel saying that he wanted to encapsulate different eras with the songs on there. And yeah, this is one of the more old school ones, even sampling a soul song from 1985 throughout the track to provide to that glossy, nostalgic feel. But my god, does the beat still slap as hard as all the other ones on the album. As soon as the drums kick in, it's just... On top of that, it's just got one of Denzel's smoothest melodic hooks ever and great verses from Denzel and Kiddo Marv. If this song had a music video, which I'm really hoping it will soon, I could picture it looking like a Miami version of the I Get Around video by Tupac. That type of visual would be perfect for the luxurious summertime atmosphere that this song has to it. It's been almost 6 months since this track was released, and I am still mind blown at how emotive and powerful Rich Brian's singing is on this track. That displayed this kind of vocal range, like even outside of the singing, his rapping is more forceful than ever on Yellow, with Brian passionately delivering lines about taking risks to chase your dreams and breaking past any of the limitations that are trying to hold you back. This, of course, stems from his story of moving to the US from Indonesia when he was 17 by himself to pursue his dream of becoming a rapper. Credit for the cinematic sound here also needs to be given to Bacon and the production duo The Donuts, who produced this dramatic, beautiful instrumental here. Bacon actually had a hand in producing Kendrick Lamar's Damn, so it's no wonder that the production sounds so amazing on this track. The minute-long string section that closes it out is just mesmerizing. If this song had charted on the Hot 100 to make it eligible for this list, it would be at the #1 spot on here. I genuinely love this track that much. But unfortunately it didn't chart, so it'll have to be an honourable mention on this list. But it would be at #1 had it charted.
At your party, I'm with the gang, and it's gonna be a robbery, so tuck your chain, I'm a killer.
Okay, so like I said on the slide there, I'm kind of cheating with this one because this didn't chart. I just realised that after I scripted the video, but I like it more than the original Pop Out, okay? And I wanted to have this song on here, so this is the one exception. And yeah, that's right, I chose a remix that has Feat Gunna in the title over the original version of Pop Out, which had no Gunna feature inside. My best hit rap songs of the year list is featuring Gunna. And don't get me wrong, DJ is pretty nice on the original, but Pop Out again just has a bit more going for it. Polo G, for example, delivers a new verse on this one that wasn't on the original version, and he has a much more melodic... Sounds great. I feel like there's more life to his part on this version. It also has one of my favourite Lil Baby guest verses. Most of the rhymes are solid, if not a tad repetitive. I mean, look at that. The flows are slick. Overall, it's just a really enjoyable verse from him.
My hoes got loud about it, keep it IG, yo, stop shot. Proud of myself, I found. All the keep the guys around me.
He's featured everywhere nowadays, but to be honest, I'm not too mad about it because he does generally seem like he tries to vary his flows a bit more and change up the way his verses sound than the other man featured on this track, Gunna, as everyone seems to be calling him now. But you know what? Gunna is honestly pretty nice on this too. The beat is harder than what he typically raps over, and that does help to make it feel a bit different to your standard Gunna guest verse. And the lyrics he closes out his verse with nicely sum up his mindset that led him to his success. Everyone does a solid job on this one, and it makes for a great track.
Thinking back to the fact that they dead, thought my raps wasn't facts, so they sat with the bars. I got 2 phones, one needed charge.
This track to me is what a lot of the songs on Scorpion should have been. And just because I mentioned Scorpion, we're not gonna bring up the time last year on my worst albums list where I said Drake's son was called Added On. I mean, Non-Stop has such a dead beat, I'm surprised it doesn't have a song called Added On. We're not gonna bring it up in the comments, okay? It was a mistake. Let it go. This one still has a moody, menacing tone to it, but the bouncy drum beat ensures it never gets too slow or boring, which was an issue I did have with Drake's last project. Even simple things help to make this song more energetic, like the way that Drake comes in before the drum beat drops to quickly build anticipation for when it does. I mean, if you've ever heard this song play in a concert or a club or something like that, you'll know that people get insanely hyped up when rapping to the start of this song. He drops a bunch of those Instagram caption quotables, which has pretty much become Drake's signature throughout the years. I can guarantee that every single separate line on that hook has been used as a caption multiple times before. And of course, Rick Ross comes through with a strong feature verse. I feel like Ross always sounds great on grittier songs like this or Naughty Head, for example. His vocal presence fits in so well with the darker sound. One word of advice before we move on though. Don't do this, Drake. Just please don't do that.
Came a long way from a park in a Benz to an 18 plate man's park in a Benz. Far from the rest, but I'm far from my best.
Now, Location didn't chart on the Hot 100. Songs from UK rappers typically don't, but it still qualifies for this list, and I'm still including it as a hit because it did chart in the top 10 of the UK singles chart, which is still pretty big, and it would be cool to include more UK songs in these lists going forward as I listen to more UK rap. This song to me is basically the soundtrack to a night out in London with the boys. It's what's playing in my head when that's happening. It's got quite a club bounce to it with the way that the kicks and the snare drums work off of each other, but it still has this understated, low-key tone to it overall, as Dave songs typically do. It's the UK, you can't expect our club songs to be too upbeat, come on then. Despite this laid-back sound it has though, the song still has a pretty happy vibe to it, especially with Dave's lyrics on the second verse. There's a really celebratory feeling to them. Burna Boy's contribution to this feeling can't be understated either, as his hook and verse talks about him overcoming setbacks in his life to live the lavish lifestyle that he does now. Top that off with some slick wordplay from Dave, and you have a song that still plays well in clubs, but is also really witty and well written. That's right, my boy Uzi on a best songs of the year list. I have to prove my newfound Uzi stan status somehow. It's definitely a shift from 2016 and 2017 when I wrote down some of his songs as contenders for my worst songs of the year lists. His songs didn't make it onto those lists, but I was considering them for it. But anyway, Sanguine Paradise is definitely my favourite Uzi song that hit the charts this year. The production on this is absolutely insane, from the victorious horn sounds to the sliding synth line during the chorus. It's so well constructed, and Uzi glides over this instrumental beautifully. Although I do have to say, I prefer the way the instrumental was originally mixed. The original mix of it can be found on the upload on Uzi's YouTube channel, rather than the updated mix, which is on streaming services. There's only some minor differences, like the 808s are louder and the synth line is quieter during the chorus, but I feel like those small changes make the song hit even more personally. Regardless, this mix of the song is still great, and like the best Uzi songs, it's one of those ones that can just make me smile no matter what. I could do nothing all day, then listen to this song and feel like I've just taken a massive W even though I've achieved nothing. And of course, I can't forget about the iconic "Stand on my money and now I'm 6'6" line. That line alone earns it a spot on this list. even though I've achieved nothing. And of course, I can't forget about the iconic "stand on my money and now I'm 6'6" line. That line alone earns it a spot on this list.
Let you ride it till you're rat and you're bad, bad, bad. No plan, no Atari, I won't play with you for nothing. I can eat you like hibachi cause you bad, bad, bad.
So, years after Young Thug's music career started, he finally dropped his debut studio album, So Much Fun, in 2019. It's kind of hard to believe that this is his first proper album, but everything he's dropped up to this point has either been a mixtape or an EP. But yeah, this album was just stacked with a bunch of bangers and super entertaining tracks. One of my favorites being Bad Bad Bad. I guess you could say that this song is good, good, good.
Oh, brother!
Thug just slides so effortlessly over the instrumental. He has some of the best flows on the album on here. It's definitely one of the more toned down Thug songs. Like, you're not going to get any wild vocals on this one like you get on Harambe or Drippin', but he still sounds unique. The only difference is that this song has more wider commercial appeal. And it sounds, to be honest. Now, I can't lie, Lil Baby's part does sound a little bit off on this one. It sounds kind of like his vocals have been pitched down a little bit, or he's delivering his vocals with a bit of a deeper inflection to his voice, and something about it just doesn't sound quite right. But I still think his part on here is enjoyable, nicely following Thug with some very smooth flows of his own. Now, while we're on the topic of So Much Fun, please give us more deluxe versions of the album, just so we can see that beautiful cover in a bunch of different colours. And don't comment below like, oh, if you want to see the cover in different colours, just use Photoshop. No, because new songs would be nice as well. Give us this cover in yellow, give us this cover in purple. It slaps in any colour.
I remember back in college, bitches knocking on my dorm door. I ain't never let them in. Now you know that this cap know I hit if you ain't no job, I'm selling gas like I'm Jiffy Lube.
I'm not gonna lie, I was pretty surprised when I saw it announced that DaBaby was one of the featured artists on Dreamville's Revenge of the Dreamers 3 project. And I was unsure about how well he would fit in, given that the typical Dreamville sound is very different to the typical DaBaby sound. But my god, did he prove with his verse on this one that he could easily fit in. It's such a great verse, and even though it doesn't differentiate too much from the typical DaBaby flow, the difference in instrumental is enough to make it sound fresh and exciting. He sounds phenomenal on this one. He even has some of the highlight lyrics on the track. I loved what he did here. It also has what I'd say is the second best contribution that Cole made to the Third Dreamers project, only being topped by his verse on Sacrifice.